Good day everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are looking at teleportation. As you can see, we still have our physics cubes, and in this video we're just going to be looking at basic teleportation, no visuals, nothing, just the basics of teleporting around. So today we're still going to be playing with the VR player that we created in previous videos, with the physics-based hands and everything like that. But we're going to start off by first going to player settings, and we are going to delete all the default actions and all the default access that's been given to us. We're going to make our own. For this to actually work, I'm going to have to go back and go to virtual reality, blueprint side, and delete all of these blueprints, because otherwise it's just going to give us a load of errors. And we're going to say save. The first action that we're going to actually bring in is going to be teleport. If you hear stuff in the background, it's because it's raining outside. Okay, let's make sure about the input. We're going to be using the Oculus Touch, and going to be using the A button press. You'll be adding your own input here based on what platform you're using. I'm using the Oculus, so I'm going to be using Oculus Touch. After that, we are going to go to the player, and I'm not going to have multiple teleports on both controllers. I'm just going to keep it to one controller, and that's my right controller. First thing that you want to add is an arrow. What the arrow is basically just where the teleportation is going to start. You can call it what you want. I'm just going to keep it at arrow. Let's add the right location, the beginning of the hand, and I'm actually going to put it as a child of the controller hand, controller position. If you want to follow along with the exact same player character, go back to my previous videos to know exactly what's going on. Okay, with the controller starting position done, we're going to go to EventCraft. As you can see, all the previous scripts, and we're actually going to create a function, and this is going to be our array. I'm just going to call it line trace. Okay, in the line trace we are basically just going to be doing a normal line. I will be setting up my code so you can do it from multiple from both hands, but at the end of the day I'm just going to be adding it to one hand. So with our line in, we're going to add an input, and this is going to be start point. And it's not going to be a boolean, it's going to be an array component reference. From that we are going to get the world location, and we're also going to be getting get forward vector, and we are going to be needing that for our array. So the basic array that we're going to be using is actually a projectile type of array, where it will send a projectile out of the beginning point and create a nice arc. We want the arc there because we don't want people to have like a solid straight line. If you want a solid straight line, you can do that, but at the end of the day, I don't want that. The thing that we want to do here is we're gonna say projectile path by object type. And why we are using object type is because we're gonna need it in the future for getting all the points and also getting the endpoint as an object. So to actually get the velocity of our curve, what we're gonna do is we're gonna multiply the forward vector by a float, and gonna create a new variable. We're gonna call it arc launch velocity. We're gonna make it a float, and we're just gonna be multiplying it with our forward vector. We're gonna make it 900. This is a value you can play with by yourself to get the best curve that's suitable for your game type. Last thing that we're gonna be inputting is just the object type, and you can keep it at world static. From here, we are actually gonna take the on hit and we're gonna break it. And what we're gonna be doing with the break is we actually just need a location. Before we do that, we're gonna make an return node, because this is where we start getting all the values out. And we're gonna say return node, and the values that you want to get out of the out of this small script is out path position and and we need to do a certain check. That check's gonna be, I will show you in a second what that check is. So we don't want the player to just teleport anywhere on any static object. If that is in your game, you don't need the successful or non-successful output. But we want to see if we're actually teleporting somewhere that we classified as teleport location. And the way I'm going to be doing it is by making a nav mesh. So we're going to take the location and we are going to project point to nav mesh. And I did it from wrong location. We're actually going to need a get nav navigation system, and from there we actually need to project point to nav mesh. The point that we're going to be projecting is the location. I'm going to collapse the breakpoint because that's the only value we need from it. The other value that we're going to be needing is a project nav extends. I'm going to take the query extend. We're going to make vector, and basically this is going to be the endpoint of the array, so the last point, and we're just going to be making like a small object there that will represent the endpoint for this point, for this video. So we're going to add a local variable. It's going to be a float, and we're going to say project project nav extends. And this value is going to be 500, yes. And we're just going to be feeding it into X, Y, and Z. From here, I'm going to take the return value, add it to the and we're going to add another variable and call it success. It's going to be a boolean, and this is just going to be the basic thing that's going to tell us that the end positions is actually on the navigation mesh and not on a random object. This vector, we are just going to be renaming it to trace point. Why we're saying trace points is because it is an array. So there's multiple vectors in that one variable. And that's what we're going to actually be needing a little bit later on. So the last thing that we're going to be adding to the end position is the trace location. And the nav mesh location. So the trace location is just where the location is of the end position. The nav location is where the successful point is to actually teleport. So you don't teleport against walls, into walls, or halfway into a wall, like 200 feet off the ground. That's basically what it is. Okay, that's everything that we'll have to do in here. Now we're going to go back to our event graph, and we are going to get the event tick. So this will handle the continuous movement of of the array, and also when you teleport it, you're going to be sending the data through event tick. Event tick is basically every frame per second. The event tick is being called, and what we're going to be doing from here is we're going to be calling the line trace. You don't have to put in a target, but you have to put in a start point. And this is where, sorry, this is where you can do multiple teleportation arrays because of me classifying the start point, clarifying the start point. So you can just replace it with the arrow that we made here. From here, we are actually going to be making a branch. And this is going to handle to see if it's a successful place to actually teleport to. But as you can see, we are actually missing something, because if we run this script, it's just, and we actually add the teleportation to it, it's just going to be constantly teleporting us around without actually having a button input that tells us that we're trying to teleport or we're not trying to teleport. So to do that, we are actually going to get that input that we created in our project settings. And we are going to make two variables. One's going to be is teleport. It's going to be a boolean. Second one's going to be want teleport. Okay. So where is teleporting is going to be when we release the button want to teleport is going to be on the press button. Why this is important is because we don't constantly want to see the line render. We don't want it constantly there. So the only time it's actually going to be showing is when we press in the button. The line render is going to be called, and from there on, when we release button, it's going to be teleporting us. So to get that in, we're going to say branch from our line render, and we're going to feed it is teleporting. And before all of this, we're going to add another branch. Before the line render, and that's going to be one to teleport. So the line render doesn't constantly keep on going without us actually wanting to use it. Okay. After the success, we are just going to be saying teleport. And we're going to be using the navigation mesh for where we're going to be teleporting. And for now, we're just going to be leaving the rotation out of this because we're actually going to create another system for that in a later down video. But the last thing that we actually have to do is, as you can see, we are setting the is teleporting value, and we're not actually setting it back. Same for want to teleport. So it's just going to be constantly active, and we don't want that. So beginning after the branch, we're actually going to be setting it back to a false, and then after we have teleported, we are gonna set this one back to false. And that's basically it. But if we actually go and play now, you'll see there is no navigation mesh in our scene. So we are actually going to go to volumes and navigation mesh bounds volume. Gonna zero it out, and I'm gonna press B to actually see the navigation mesh volume, and then I'm just gonna scale it out to about 10 by 10, and everywhere you see the green part would be a valid location to actually teleport. The last thing that I've got we should do is go back to the line renderer, to the drop down, and actually just change the, we actually want to see the visual for the path renderer, because we don't have other visuals at the moment. We are actually going to be covering visuals in the next aspect. Okay, now we can just go and play. Oh, that error is not necessary to look at right now. Oh, gotta be kidding me. I forgot to do something. If we go to our player, just turn it back to player 1. Play. my hands are still there. And if I press A, oh, wait, we're actually gonna removing that. Gonna set it after release. I just realized why that isn't working. Okay, play again. If I press A, as you can see, there's our array. And if I bring it close, you'll see there's a red sphere around the end position. And where the end position is, if there's a nav mesh, we'll be able to teleport there. But oh, what's going on? What's going on? Line branch is teleporting. If it's true, we'll look at if it's successful teleport, and a set is teleporting back to normal. Just gonna add a delay there, because I think resetting the value immediately is killing the process. There we go. As you can see, it will only come active when I actually press the button, and I'll teleport after I've released the button. But at the moment, unfortunately, we are teleporting against our three walls. In the next video, I will cover that. I still love the system that we created when it comes to the physics hands, because then I can actually push over objects. Love it. As you can see, I can't actually teleport closer to the object because the navigation mesh stopped me. And I'm playing with a ball. Anyway, that's it, everyone. In the next video, we'll actually cover the visual aspect of the teleportation. So it will actually not be using the line render of a draw debugger, but actually put in a proper system to bring in a form of visual for the teleportation. But we'll cover that in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. If it was educational, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.